Logo of U.S. Department of the Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and citsci.org. Title on screen is Leveraging Citizen and Community Science for Effective Natural Resource Damage Assessment and Restoration. Module 1. Video of a bird in water on the right side of the screen. Video credit Sarah Newman, citsci. Text on screen has welcome in many different languages, with each one in a different size and color, and moves across the screen.
Welcome to Module 1 of the Natural Resource Damage Assessment Restoration Program's Citizen Science Training Series. These training videos are designed with and for NRDA teams to help you learn how to use citizen science to accomplish and document restoration goals that are laid out in NRDA restoration plans.
Title on screen is NRDAR and Citizen Science. Image of a river with a path, rocks, and newly planted trees. Image title is Big Bend of the Jordan River, Credit River Restoration.
After watching this video, you will be able to understand how citizen science fits into the mission of the NRDAR program. Describe a spectrum of citizen science approaches. Recognize when citizen science might be appropriate for meeting the objectives of a restoration project. Discover a list of additional training videos in this series, and know where to find additional information that builds on this video series.
Image of 3 people standing in dirt with 2 of them using metal rake, and the other is holding a shovel. There is a newly planted tree next to them and an excavator in the background. Image credit Stone Creek, USFWS.
The mission of the U.S. Department of the Interior's Natural Resource Damage Assessment and Restoration Program, or NRDAR.
Image of 10 people standing in dirt, looking down at a person in an orange vest that is digging in the dirt with gloves on next to a bucket. Image credit Lone Mountain, USFWS.
Is to restore natural resources that have been injured as a result of oil spills or the release of hazardous substances into the environment.
Video of an aerial view that shows an oil tanker ship leaking oil from one side of it that covers a large area of the water. Next video shows oil covering the ground and slowly spreading.
NRDAR teams conduct damage assessments in partnership with affected state, tribal, and federal trustee agencies to determine what resources are injured and how much restoration is needed to replace the public's loss and use of those resources.
Video of a large dump truck on a beach with a large front loader dumping sand into it. Next video is sped up and shows hundreds of people in white bodysuits on a beach that is covered in oil. They are working to clean up the oil.
Once the damages are assessed, the NRDAR program negotiates legal settlements for the spiller release.
Video is 4 people from the knees down breaking up dirt with hose around small trees. Next video is a person in dirt and leaves next to a shovel using their hands to plant a tree.
Funds from these settlements are then used to restore the injured resources at no expense to the taxpayer. To implement restoration, NRDAR teams work with a variety of partners, including federal, state, tribal, and local agencies.
Image of 14 people on the edge of a river getting off and on several raft boats. Image title is Kenai National Wildlife Refuge. Image credit Steve Hillebrand, USFWS.
Non-governmental organizations and others to identify projects that will restore the injured resources.
Image of 4 people planting a garden next to a railroad track. Image title is Stone Creek Restoration. Image credit USFWS. Next image has a sign that says Future Site of Stone Creek Outdoor Classroom and Park. There is gravel next to a checkered pattern concrete area with mosaic tiles. In the background is grass, a large pipe, and stacked wood next to a railroad track. Image credit USFWS.
And provide settlement funding to take the actions needed to restore them.
Image of old rusted barrels, weathered wood, milk crate, and a trash can. Image title is Contaminant Area Cape May National Wildlife Refuge. Image credit Mark Roberts, USFWS.
As part of the NRDAR program, project teams are tasked with restoring, replacing, or protecting injured natural resources.
Image of 5 people in a lab next to a bin of water and other science tools on the counter. 2 of them are holding a mussel while the others examine it with tools. Image title is Biologists Learn to Grow Freshwater Mussels. Image credit Ryan Haggerty, USFWS.
Monitoring makes sure the restoration is progressing as intended and demonstrates that the resources that were injured have actually been restored.
Image of a man's back with his hand raised and point at pelicans in the distance. Image title is Counting Brown Pelican at Breton National Wildlife Refuge. Image credit Tom McKenzie, USFWS, May 3, 2010.
However, monitoring can be time-consuming for restoration practitioners who need to move on to other cases.
Image of a woman holding a stick and looking at it with a smile while she stands in front of a waterway that leads into a large culvert tunnel. Image title is Fish Passage Engineer Inspects New Salmon-Friendly Culvert. Image credit USFWS.
It can often be better performed by partners who maintain a longer-term relationship with the restored site.
Image of 2 people wearing gloves and aprons that are using a hose to wash a bird. Image title is Oiled Gannet Cleaning at the Theodore Oiled Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Image credit USFWS.
Citizen science can provide a way forward for the monitoring process that engages the community now and into the future.
Image of 5 people outside in the grass looking at a woman holding a plant. 1 person is wearing a vest that says volunteer on the back. Image title is Natuska Bay Silver Spot Recovery. Image credit Patrick Stark, USFWS.
Even long after NRDAR teams have moved on to other projects.
Image of 2 adults and a child digging in the sand next to water planting grass. Image title is Volunteers Planting Marsh Grass. Image credit Steve Hillebrand, USFWS.
Before we dive into how to apply citizen science in NRDAR projects, let's take a moment to define what we mean in this video series when we use the term citizen science.
Image of a woman placing a large net on the ground with water in the background. Image title is Stone Creek. Title on page is What is Citizen Science?
Many terms have arisen in recent years to describe variations of citizen science. 3 of the most common are citizen science, community science, and crowdsourcing. It's important to note that these terms are not interchangeable.
Graphic on screen is a speech bubble filled with other words in different shapes and sizes. The other words include crowd science, participatory action research, volunteer monitoring, participatory monitoring, community-based monitoring, volunteer geographic information, public participation in scientific research, cyber citizen science, civic science, distributed computing, and citizen sensing.
Citizen science is the process of engaging the public in scientific research. It is the broadest of the terms. Community science and crowdsourcing are variations of citizen science, but do not on their own describe all of the many forms of citizen science.
Image of 6 people hiking up a trail in the woods.
Community science refers to distinct grassroots practices of those traditionally underserved by science and is a term best used to describe projects that have begun in a grassroots way.
Image of 5 people smiling with one holding a shovel.
An example of a well-known community science project is the Louisiana Bucket Brigade.
Logo of the Louisiana Bucket Brigade. Image of 6 people holding buckets and opening them. Title is The Bucket with text below it. Still the most community-friendly air monitor we've ever found. https://labucketbrigade.org.
Crowdsourcing is generally defined as the process of outsourcing tasks to a distributed group of people.
Graphic is an abstract black and white view looking down at triangles and lots of people with different levels of opacity. Image of the homepage for a naturalist website and eBird.
Examples of well-known crowdsourcing projects in citizen science include iNaturalist and eBird. Before attaching your ideas to any particular term, spend time intentionally discussing these terms and their meanings with your team. There are 2 papers that may help guide your discussions. The first is Inclusion in Citizen Science, the Conundrum of Rebranding. The second is What's in a Name? The Paradox of Citizen Science and Community Science.
Image shows article that has a photo of a woman using a tool with a microphone. Additional text on screen for each reference. The first is Cooper et al., 2021. Science 372, 6549, 1386, 1388, free version available at https://discovery.ucl.ac.uk/id/101303544/. The other reference includes Lynn Hunter, D.G. Newman, M. Balgopal. In Press, Frontiers in Ecology and the Environment.
Knowing the different terms used to describe your public engagement work is valuable. And knowing the goals and objectives of your restoration project can help drive your direction. So, how do you know if a citizen science approach is right for your restoration project?
Image is a waterway that goes under a bridge with city buildings in the background. Image credit Greg Newman, CITSE.
Start by asking yourself these questions. Does the restoration site need long-term monitoring to understand the effectiveness of the restoration and perform adaptive management? Can your staff conduct the needed monitoring yourselves without the help of citizen scientists? Is the site accessible to the public? Are there monitoring approaches you can use that are easy to do and don't require expensive equipment? Can someone from your staff or a partner organization train and manage volunteers for the site? Are you able to share monitoring data for the site with the public? Are there websites or databases where you can store and manage the data that can be shared with your partners and the public?
Monitoring is not always easy for the trustees.
Video of two people hiking in the woods with backpacks and walking sticks. Next video is of a large wet mud area between trees and a road that is next to a river.
It's not uncommon for the trustees to step back from participating in restoration once the project has been identified, designed, and funded. Because of limited trustee agency staff resources.
Video of a woman with a backpack looking through binoculars. Next video is of a duck shaking its feathers in the water.
NRDA restoration project managers may have limited availability to stay active with a project once it goes into implementation. Citizen science has additional benefits to natural resources beyond the actual restoration.
Text on screen is benefits of citizen science to NRDAR. Image of a young girl waving and smiling who is piggybacking on a woman. Then changes to image of an older man standing next to an American flag. Image title is USFWS Volunteer and credit USFWS. Then image changes to children planting trees in a forest.
It fosters awareness and concern for natural resources and their values, and it provides stewardship from helping with site maintenance to advocating for ongoing support for restored areas.
Video of a man wearing an orange vest while looking up a tree with binoculars and a birdhouse in his other hand.
Citizen science creates opportunities for long-term monitoring that allows us to develop a deeper understanding of the restoration going forward.
Title is Approaches to Citizen Science Participation. Image of a quail bird sitting on a branch. Image title is Quail at Utah Big Bend Restoration Site. Image credit Sarah Newman, CITSE.
In addition to crowdsourcing and community science, there are several other common approaches to citizen science that projects generally employ: contributory, collaborative, and co-created.
Image of a man next to a creek taking a sample. Title above the image is contributory. Beside it is another image of 4 people looking at the ground. Title above the image is collaborative. Beside it is another image of 4 people sitting in chairs in a circle inside talking and smiling. Title above the image is co-created.
Contributory projects are generally projects where the majority of the research design, from the questions to the protocols and the data analysis, are designed by professional teams.
Long list of items on the left with 3 columns on the right with labels for contributory, collaborative, and co-created. Under each, there is a checkbox that is in line with each item on the left. Under the contributory column, the collect sample and analyze samples items have blinking checks in the boxes.
After the project is designed, the public is then invited into collecting data, analyzing data, or both.
Image of a group of people in a river sticking their hands in the water with one person taking pictures. Image title is Powell River Mussel Release. Next image is of two people looking into a container that has water and sediment at the bottom. Image credit Gary Peoples, USFWS, North Carolina.
A BioBlitz is a good example of a contributory style project, where professional scientists might be brought into a site to help guide groups of volunteers through the site to identify birds, plants, insects, and more.
Image of two hands holding a hummingbird and spreading its wings. Image credit Megan Nagel, USFWS, Hakalau Forest National Wildlife Refuge, Hawaii.
A BioBlitz can be a great way to engage your community with restoration site to do pre- and post-restoration inventories of the flora and fauna and give people an opportunity to make a closer connection to the site.
Image of two people bending down and looking closely at plants on the ground. Image credit Ashley Spratt, USFWS, Ventura Fish and Wildlife Service Office, California. Next image is of three people next to water with one holding a fish, another has a bucket, and the third has a pen and paper. Image credit Pam Sponholtz, USFWS, Arizona.
Collaborative projects involve the public in more parts of the project design, from developing explanations, designing data collection methods, collecting samples, and analyzing samples and data, but the research questions are often still developed by professional teams.
The same list of items as before. Under the collaborative column, there are check marks blinking on the checkboxes for develop explanations, design data collection methods, collect samples, analyze samples, and analyze data.
The Big Bend River Restoration Project in Utah is a great example of a collaborative citizen science project.
Video of the Big Bend River with mountains in the background. It moves to the left to show the entire river. Video title is Big Bend of the West Jordan River, Utah. Video credit Sarah Newman, SITSI.
In this project, the NRDAR team was charged with restoring a reach of a river that was injured by pollution from a steel plant that had stood downstream of the site for many years.
Video of a man hiking up a hill. Next, a video of two kids in scout uniforms reading a map next to a creek.
Local staff from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service office collaborated with the National NRDAR team to engage a number of local organizations to conduct citizen science projects on birds, water quality, and plants.
Video of a bird walking in water with grass. Next, a video of water flowing over rocks. Next is a video of a rabbit eating grass and hopping.
In several cases, the local groups were already conducting citizen science in other parts of the state, and it was relatively easy for them to spin up small teams to collect data on the Big Bend site. We'll dive into more details about this project in later modules in this video series.
The same list of items as before. Under the co-created column, all the items have check marks blinking on the check boxes. The item list includes define a question/issue, gather information, develop explanations, design data collection methods, collect samples, analyze data, interpret data/conclude, disseminate conclusions, and discuss results, inquire further.
Co-created projects involve the public in almost all aspects of the scientific process. Co-creation is a wonderful way to bring interested members of the community into nearly every phase of your project, from deciding on the research question to pursue, to gathering background research about the site, collecting and analyzing data, and interpreting and presenting the results back to the community. A restoration project that is co-created may be one that comes from the community in the first place.
Video of older people walking together next to a building. Next, a video of a large water view with trees blowing in the breeze. Then a video of green algae on the bottom of a large water area.
In this scenario, a community group may approach your agency with a site they want to see restored. Let's say you're charged with restoring the aquatic ecosystem of a local lake because community members have documented several toxic algae blooms negatively affecting the health of the community.
Image of 3 people hiking over a stream and stepping on stones to cross. Next is an image of lots of people along the edge of water fishing. Image credit Joe Donahoe, USFWS, Virginia. Next is an image of people standing next to water watching a young girl dip a net in the water. Image credit Duckwater Shoshone Tribe, USFWS, Nevada.
You can benefit tremendously from engaging local lake associations, fishing clubs, state and local environmental agencies, and other groups in the initial phases of your planning of your restoration project. They may know what is contributing to the algal blooms and point you to data and potential concerns you may not have considered.
Image of 2 people on a boat in a river. Image credit Brett Billings, USFWS, Cumberland River Tailwater. Then an image of a child holding a fish on a fishing line next to water. Image credit Robert Pose, USFWS, Maryland.
Having invested individuals from these groups as part of your research team can be valuable and provides an opportunity for them to learn more about the science behind the restoration work.
Image of a man holding 2 fish in his hands next to water. Next image with several groups of people talking next to water. Image title Big Bend of the Jordan River. Image credit Sarah Newman, CITSE.
In practice, your restoration project may use a mix of citizen science approaches. You may want to incorporate a well-established citizen science water monitoring protocol for the stream on your site.
Image of a person bending down to pick up something from the water. There is a metal box open next to her and a waterfall in the background. Next is an image of grass growing with a sunset in the background.
But understanding the plant community may require co-creating a monitoring protocol.
Image of 5 men leaning on a new fence. Image title is Stone Creek and the credit USFWS. Next image is of 5 people hiking in the woods. Image credit Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. Image credit USFWS.
Working with partners and being open to different approaches gives you the most flexibility and an opportunity for finding something that works best to meet the goals of the project.
Chart with time to creation on the y-axis and level of engagement on the x-axis. There is a line that curves up with contributory toward the bottom, collaborative in the middle, and co-created at the top.
In general, you will have better engagement from partners and volunteers the more you co-create the monitoring approaches for your restoration site. And the closer you get to co-creation, the more time it will probably take to design and implement your citizen science projects. A contributory project may be faster to spin up because there are fewer partners to include in the process. A co-created project, on the other hand, might take several years to design and launch in order to really take into account the capabilities and needs of partners.
Image of a woman and man who is holding a child pointing to the sky. The child is looking through binoculars. Image credit Ryan Haggerty, USFWS. Next is an image of 4 people next to a creek holding tools and hammering a stake into the ground. Image title is Stream Bank Stabilization of Stone Creek. Image credit UWFWS.
The approaches you choose will probably depend on the amount of time you have, the interests and capabilities of partners in your community, the goals of your project, and of course, funding. In the next video, we'll discuss how to develop monitoring and management questions for NRDA restoration that open doors for citizen science involvement, explore effective methods for developing relationships with key community groups, and learn to craft questions for community members that really help you to understand their needs for your restoration work.
For more information about this video series, visit doi.gov/restoration.
Video of a woodpecker in a tree. Next is a video of a bird flying in the sky. Video credit Sarah Newman, CITSE. Title on screen. Thanks for watching. Text on screen is narration John Eisenhart, DOI, and Chris Klein, USFWS. Production Sarah Newman, CITSE at Colorado State University. Special thanks Brian Balmer, USFWS. Daniel Mock, State of Minnesota. Jacob Martin, USFWS, Matt Struckhoff, USGS, Tim Holsel, DOI, Sherry Skipper, USFWS, and all the partners of the Big Bend of the Jordan River Science Coordination Team. Logo of U.S. Department of the Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and SITSI.